Hello and welcome, one and all, to an RCI presentation of the Diamond Drive Cup. And we are here in the beautiful United Kingdom at Oulton Park. I'm Jesse Lee. I will be one half of your commentary team for this Wednesday championship here at RCI. The other half of that team, of course, is Nate, brand new to the box. Say hello, Nate.
Hey guys, happy to be here. First time, go easy on me.
Well, and of course, we also have Stewie behind the cameras bringing you all of the action here live from Oulton Park all season long.
Did we
And
for
I have to, anyway, we had a small technical grilling behind the scenes. I don't know if anybody else heard that but me, but very interesting indeed. But either way, we are here at the very beautiful Oulton Park. Not a lot of room around here, Nate, to make passes. Passes will be at a premium, as it always is, but Oulton Park always seems to deliver on drama and action.
Yeah, Alton Park seems to follow a lot of the tracks purchased by this company. Quite narrow, but plenty of runoff. So if any contact does happen, plenty of room to get back on, complete your race. I'm looking forward to it. From practice, there seems to be quite a few quick lap times. I'm looking forward to see what qualifying will bring, and then eventually the race.
Yes, indeed. We have a star studded field here today. And as qualifying, getting ready to get going, there are a bunch of new liveries, new cars that I'm not usually familiar with seeing. A lot of familiar names, though, here for the champ. I think a lot of these guys and potentially gals, in fact, all went with a different paint scheme here today.
Yeah, these are all brand new to me, actually, yeah, all of them new. I knew one of the drivers. Unfortunately, they had to pull out of the race today. They should hopefully be here for the next event. Looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm here. New face to the box, new faces to get to grips with, and I'm hoping I'll quickly find out which ones are, the quicker ones, so we can keep an eye on the action from those.
Well, of course, everybody here is going to, well, they are split up into different categories as free practice is coming to an end. Judging by the amount of cars we have on the pit lane, I'm assuming they feel they've had enough practice, which is a bold statement to make, or perhaps they're making their final adjustments for qualifying. Either way, I don't even think we have half the field out on the track currently. So, that's very interesting. And also, what's going to be even more interesting is that qualifying session. You got to find space on this track, which comes so preciously around here. It's going to be very interesting indeed to see how everybody makes their way or finds a space so they can get in that quick lap. Just a few seconds left of practice, I should say, before qualifying. Nate, do you have any notes about this particular racetrack? I know you either love it or you hate it, Oulton Park.
Uh, I had some notes. I can't seem to find them. I do know the track was opened in 1953, though, and that is the only bit of knowledge that I can retain. But yeah, as you said, space definitely at a premium here, and it only takes one person, as we're witnessing someone off the track right now, to cost you your lap. Being those few tenths up can make all the difference.
Yes, indeed. This is going to be a very interesting day for us, and it's going to be a very interesting day for all of the drivers as well. They're getting to grips with. I assume a lot of these competitors today have raced each other at some point, but I don't know how frequently they've raced in a grid this size at Oulton Park. I mean, I assume this is the biggest grid they've ever raced at Oulton Park, considering the GT DLC, etc. So uh, it's going to be a learning experience for everybody, as it turns out, as the countdown timer to finish laps in practice is timing down. Everybody gets one shot at finishing their lap.
it's also, as you mentioned, a few of them may not have raced together, so it's going to be feeling out where everyone's at, feeling where the competition is, knowing who you can race really hard with, and knowing who might give you a little bit of a squeeze.
Well, 30 minutes of qualifying here to go, and everybody is going to be getting out onto the track at one point or another. And it's a very long qualifying session. We don't usually here at RCI see a qualifying session quite so long, but of course, I feel that it's a bit warranted in this particular race in general as well to give everybody a chance to get a good run out there. I've been spoiled recently, Nate, because we've had 10-minute qualifying, like super pole sort of qualifyings, and a 30-minute quali though it has its own advantages. You're going to probably see some really quick laps at the end of this session whenever they dial these cars in.
Absolutely, like you said, practice wasn't too long. Um, some of them, like you said, still getting grips with their cars. And as you said, right at the end of the session, someone might just pull out that one bonkers lap, nail it, stick it on pole. But also on the flip side, you might set your quick lap at the start of the session and just be waiting and hoping that no one beats you. But quiet confidence that you'll nail it and stay P1.
Well, and the other thing that we haven't explicitly mentioned to this point, what makes this grid so special is everybody here. This is a non male series. What we have done is if you identify as a male, we have basically told you not in the Wednesday championship this time. This is a non male championship here. And I think that's absolutely just fantastic. And the they asked for this, which was the most important thing. We didn't just decide, we're going to kick all the males out. They asked for a championship that was without that was sort of their own and without any other competition, just to see how they stacked up against one another. And of course, we've had many non-binary and of course female racing drivers in other series, and they continue to compete. But as far as a additional series, they asked us if we could, and we said, of course we can, and why not?
Yeah, and I feel like it removes some of that pressure. There's that horrible stereotype that uh, people can't get into games that they want to get into because they're scared of the people already in those communities. And this is a nice way to bring all those people on board. Be like, hey, you can have fun, you can do this, you can join in, and then when you're ready, you can you step out and join in all of the series that you want, and to build the confidence that you can do this, you belong here.
Yeah, I think that as far as a series goes, I've not been this excited as Mia Rose here is driving, gets the first lap in a 33.249. That will certainly come down as whenever qualifying initially went green, normally we see a land rush start. We didn't see that here. We saw very few cars matriculate out onto the track, but now business is starting to pick up and likely will continue. But Mia setting the gauntlet right now. Rose with that lap time, and Schmidt with about a tenth slower. That's I still think we're going to dip into the 22s. Might even see a high 21 by the end of Q today.
Yeah, as you previously mentioned, some people still dialing in their cars. A couple people might be trying to check their pressures, make sure they've got that right. So like you said, a couple people still in the pits, just making sure that everything's all tight, ready to go, ready for those quick laps. I hope we dip into the 32s. That'd be pretty good. I mean, we're not far off now, and as you said, these people are only going to get quicker as the time ticks down.
Yes, indeed. Well, we turn into Schmidt here, Team Fordzilla. If you're familiar with that name, well, you should be. They are a mainstay here at RCI. Schmidt's looking to put in a quicker lap than the first, needs to pick up just about a tenth and a half. Actually, needs to pick up a lot more as a Rose by another name. And if you get that reference, has taken over pole position, a 32.745, laying down the gauntlet here. It is a Rose and Rose show on the top spots of the podium, the front row so far. And I think that has happened in RCI before, as Schmidt actually does improve, good enough for second now, 4/10 back of the other rows. And we have had a front row with the same name before. That was the Ryan Meenan brothers. Obviously, that's not going to happen today, but it could be a front row lockout for the John Lacey Esports Academy, though, if they continue this strong look early in this session.
Yeah, I mean, we're already down into the 32s. We were both hoping it. I feel like quietly optimistic for the 31s. We'll have to see if we get there. But a couple people on quicker laps now. So again, those times are going to keep tumbling. We already see Miro's in and out of the pits again. So maybe some setup changes, new tires, just to eke out that extra bit of performance. It's looking close already. I'm actually quite surprised that everyone is this fast, this quick. Um, and again, there we go. Rose this time has gone quicker again. So maybe you're right. Maybe we will see some 31s, those final couple of laps.
I think we're going to get there. 31.4. We're not even halfway into the session. If they can't quite get it here on this run, you're going to have at least one or two more chances at it. So I think we'll get there. I hold out hope. I always do this in qualifying, Nate, where I sort of guess where I think the lap time is going to be, and I cheer everybody on to try and get to that lap time. Sometimes we get there, sometimes we don't. I think a 31.9 is well within the cards today. Rose leads Schmidt is your top two. That is your front row, but times are getting very much closer to one another. Remember, it was 7/10, then nearly half a second at one point, down to just 3/10, the difference between first and second.
Um, yeah, yeah. I think you reckon 31.9. I feel like we'll go 32.0. I'm gonna go 10th up on you. I don't think we'll get there, but who knows? It looks like a couple of them are already quite on the limit. A few yellow flags there already. So it'll be good to see, really good to see. And I'm looking forward. Actually, I'm quite excited for the AM split because a lot of people trying to make a name, prove that they're faster than everyone else. Will be really interesting to see where the AM split lines up in comparison to silver.
Yeah, it sure will. As Felipe Bakita trying to improve on their lap, and it doesn't look like they did it. No, indeed, they did not on that time as some cars releasing from pit road. And we didn't really talk about the Oulton Park pit road yet, but it's not the worst pit exit, but it is a bit scary, especially with that right hand turn right after pit exit.
Yeah, not ideal, but I'm sure everyone will adapt to it. Hopefully, in the race, we don't see anyone, coming together like a two-way pass on the straight, and then someone coming out of the pits. It could all end in tears, but fingers crossed, like you said, they will get through it unscathed.
Here's Jenny Kamugli trying to improve upon their lap. They're in the silver class for this Diamond Championship, hoping to improve. They are near the back of the field for silver, and in fact, does improve to a 35.214. We didn't really mention this either because of the quick start, but there are three classes here. We do have Pro, Silver, and AM here in this championship. They are all, of course, racing for their own individual glory as well as overall. And if a silver, as you see, Taylor is in sixth place, if they do out qualify a pro, well, they get to start in that position. They've earned it, and rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone's pulling over. Oh no, never mind. Ignore me. No issues there. just a quick walk back to the pits, change the strategy maybe, or maybe they feel like that's as fast as they're gonna go in the time allotted to them, because the session is split. 15 minutes for the pros and silvers, and 15 minutes for the AMs, I believe.
Yes, so all the AM cars are still in pit road as Mia Rose goes quicker still, a 32.613 for the Jean Lacey Esports Academy driver. And now it is a Rose and Rose show on the front row again. An Arrowin here in ninth place, third place in silver. What can they do to improve their time?
It's looking good for them so far. They look like they're up on this lap. If they can finish it, they might go up to 8th. It's
We're going
looking
to have
good,
to
a couple
see.
corners.
Yes. We're coming to the line right now, and indeed, they
Wow.
do improve a 34.002. That puts them into second place in their class. Very nice done by Erwin there, getting it done, and they still have time to chase more. Heck, at this point, a tenth is two positions, Nate.
Yeah, it's very, very close. Even that lap, just to put them into 8th, very, very close. Look at the times. There's not much in it, but they're up again on this lap. So, like you said, a 10th, few positions here and there. It's so, so close in the silver field, and it's even closer up there in the pro field.
Yeah, Erwin is up fairly decently at 3/10 going down the back straightaway here into the chicane. This could be massive. This could be silver pole for the number 7 AKM Racing UK driver. Unless my timing doesn't appear to be broken, Nate. Sometimes it likes to throw me curveballs, but it is trending in the right direction. It's actually trending more towards 4/10, maybe 5/10 of a second. This could be a hero lap.
Yeah, nobody else is going faster, or nobody else around them is going faster. 5/10 up, just that one kink left, and then across the line. There it is. Wow, what a lap.
Absolutely destroyed it. Sophie Erwin went to pole in their class and did it by gapping the field that they're racing by half of a second on that lap. Excellent stuff. Charlie Martin coming across the line. And that was very much a better lap for them. A 35.661 slots them into 15th place.
Unfortunately, I think that may be the end of the pro-am times. It doesn't seem like anyone's on a quicker lap. Although there is still time for them to get a few more laps in. I noticed one car on an out lap, couple cars in the pits though. Um, yeah, it's not. There's a few cars, like I said, on quick laps. I will just have to see where the numbers fall at the end of the session.
Yes, indeed. I think they, just like normal qualifying, so the way it's going to work is the pro and the silvers get half the session, and then the AMs get the other part of the session to qualify, and that is to keep the track from being as log jammed as it otherwise would be. Oulton Park is not a convenient place to try and qualify with 30 some cars on the track. I'm sure everybody can appreciate that. So split them up. We've done this several times before. It seems to work really well, but every lap that all these folks are on the track for, they will get to finish their lap as if the session actually officially ended. But basically, it will be split into half. I think the AMs will end up getting about a minute less or so of qualifying, somewhere in there. So, all things considered, it's pretty even indeed. But speaking of pretty even, all of these, the top 3 or 4 drivers are all really close together. I'm told that the roses that are locking out the front row right now, They are they're married, I'm told.
Oh, they'll definitely be bragging rights in that household then. That's going to be a tense battle.
Yeah, but which one of them is going to take home the bragging rights? One of them, even finishing second, one of them is going to be disappointed.
Absolutely, but I mean, qualifying, I suppose there's two bragging rights to be had: qualifying for one, and the race for the second one. So at the minute, it seems that like, well, pro qualifying has finished, and both of them are in the pits. So round one is over. So now we just need to head to round two after the AMs have their qualifying session, and we'll see who gets ultimate bragging rights at the end of that.
Well, the AMs have been released from pit road as the pro and silver drivers all make their way back to the pit lane on their cool down lap. Qualifying for the top two classes are finished. It will be a rows and rows show up front. That Jean Alesi Academy is looking really good right about now, Nate.
Very, very quick. Um, I'm hoping it doesn't become a two-horse race. I'd definitely like to see other drivers in the mix there. Um, but I definitely feel like those two will be the two to watch at the head of the pro field.
I think they will indeed. Well, now it is time for the amateur field to get their qualifying in. They're going to have about 13 and a half minutes here to get it done. And the first couple of drivers making their way onto their first qualifying lap. The first lap's always not the best laps, but it can be a good base to as to where you can sort of shoot. We didn't get into the 31s like I imagined we might, the very high 31s, but we did get really close. What I'm looking for out of the AMs is to see how close they can get with the rest of the field.
It's going to be interesting, and there may be some AMs that are quicker than they might perceive themselves to be. They might get on the tail of the silvers, maybe even creep into the low end of silver. It'd be great to see, because it's always nice when you go into something not thinking you're going to be very quick or very good, and then you surprise yourself with a great lap, and you sort of put yourself a bit higher than you expected to be. It's always a good feeling.
It absolutely is. And I think one of the great things about sim racing is you can be a great driver and you can be a good driver and you can get on the same track. You can learn from each other. And also, sometimes, and I know this especially from my amateur driving, you can sometimes surprise the pros, can't you, a little bit when you sneak in that very quick qualifying lap. But we are about to see just what the AM field has in store for us today for the start of this brand new championship, as the 828 is going to be the very first car, I think, to come in and set an AM lap, and indeed a 36.744 from Reina there.
So again, not bad. I mean, a few of the AMs already creeping into the silvers. We've got April there
Fury
up in,
April, what a
yeah,
lap! 34.872. That puts them pretty much in the middle of the silver field. What an amazing lap. And I think there's still room for improvement for them and many others. Fox also in the silver field. Karsvard in the silver field as well. Reyna, me, and O'Brien are the quickest of the ones that are in the back, or behind the silver field, I should say, not in the back. And they're actually in the middle of the AM field. But Fury April has thrown the gauntlet down. They're going to be dealing with some traffic, though, Nate, and that can slow your lap down, I mean, by seconds around this place.
unfortunately, again, space at a premium. There's not really a lot of opportunities to get past on the straights, especially if you don't quite get the exit you want. And then you just watch the delta come down because you can't get around them. I mean, maybe they break a bit earlier than you, and then it puts you off your line. So the best thing to do in those situations is just take a breath, drop it back, because there's no point you've already lost time on your lap. There's no point then pressuring the car ahead of you to then ruin their lap. They might be on their best lap of the session, and then for you to cruise up behind them, put pressure on them. Potentially, like I said, if they break earlier than you, bumping them, it's not a good time for anyone.
Very much so. And what can Fox do? Nicole Fox in the 202 goes all the way to amateur pole
Wow.
and splits the silvers in half, which again is perfectly fine. They are allowed to race each other. There is overall glory to have for bragging rights, of course, but they are racing for their individual championships, not overall points. But as a racing driver, that really doesn't matter, does it, Nate? You want to beat everybody you can beat.
You always do. I mean, I'm comfortably an AM driver. Some may say silver. And even when, I see the aliens and I'm like, oh, I wish I was that quick. And I get out on track, I'm like, I am that quick. And I cross the line, I'm 2 seconds down. And it's sort of like, it's a hard crash to earth, but you always want to be the very best, no matter who you're against.
That is very much the case. It doesn't matter what car you're in, you always think that you can beat somebody who is faster than you. And certainly I've been proved wrong on that a few times myself, but I digress. A lot of these drivers here today, they are proving that they can do that. We've got silvers up into the pro field, we've got AMs up into the silver field. And the way it's looking, one of these drivers probably could, I think, maybe get in there and mix it up on the silver podium. And there we are. Reina there very nearly proving me correct. They are right behind the fourth placed silver driver of Sturch. But Fury April in the 717 retakes the amateur pole. Reina right behind them now. And Fox in third place for the AM qualifying with just 8 minutes to play. A good amount of time here, a good amount of time that you can continue to pound around here, maybe get an extra lap or two out of it. Or if you need to, make a small adjustment, make a micro adjustment, go in the pit road, get something done, come back out, have enough time, warm the tires back up, get 1 or 2 laps. As we see April get almost sideways off the bank turn there, that shows you how much all of these different cars are struggling for grip. I've seen that out of a bunch of different cars, and that also shows you how hard everybody's pushing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple drivers on faster laps still. Fox going a few temps faster, so we'll see where they end up. It's looking good. A few of the drivers further down also on faster laps. The Amfield looking really, really close, with the exception of maybe April and Reina. But again, looking forward to seeing where everyone falls in the table. Again, I'm already surprised at how many AMs actually have mixed it in with the silvers. I thought they might get close. I definitely wasn't expecting this many quite up there. Again, as we see a car sideways off shot. Again, it's always really nice when you go into something and you underestimate yourself quietly, and you go out there and you think, actually, I am this fast. It's always a really, really nice feeling.
This track too is somewhat of an equalizer in my opinion. You could be a great driver and have a terrible qualifying here, but you could also be a a, a competent AM and do great things. It's sort of like, oh, I hate to use this analogy, but I will do it. It's almost like the Nürburgring of the UK. It's a small tight track with not a lot of passing opportunity. It's got bank turns such as the one April's in right now, and it's also got very tight chicanes. And you make one mistake here, and there's either a immediate wall or a long patch of grass. Okay, April was more calm than I would have been in that situation with a spinning car in front of them there, and I withdrew into my chair. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's either a long wreck off into the nothing or a very short trip into Armco, and very Nürburgring like. And I do apologize for using that tired analogy, but I did go there.
I think I would prefer the short run into the Armco, because there's nothing worse than when you feel it starting to slide and you just can't catch it, and then you're on the grass and you feel like you're sliding forever, and you're like, okay, am I going to hit the wall or can I get away with this? And eventually you hit the wall, and it's more insult to injury, because not only have you lost all the time sliding all the way off the track, You then lose more time from hitting the barrier for the repairs, and then 9 times out of 10, in my case, I end up spinning trying to rejoin the track.
I have a very good friend who once said that he was at an American track, Willow Springs, and he spun off of a corner on Christmas Day, and he finished wrecking on New Year's Eve. And I think I've thought about that often over the years. I was like, that is a great sort of metaphor for what it's like feeling when you're sliding off a track forever, and there's nothing to stop you. On one hand, you don't crash the car. On the other hand, you very much lose a lot more of your patience and time. So, qualifying still continuing. 4.5 minutes left to go. Nothing changed for the front two. April Lee leads Reina right now, but it's only about a tenth in it between the two of them. And here is Delcina, who is trying to pick up some lap traffic here, would rather not do that, and I think they will avoid that here just barely. What lap do we have in improvement to a 35.694 for the 76 Swift Sharks Racing? I like that name, Swift Sharks. That sounds good. When do we have more Swift Sharks in sim racing?
It definitely rolls off the tongue. It's quite an easy one, isn't it? Swift Sharks, you know. But seeing April was up, no longer is the case. But again, seeing drivers, green like faster sector times, it's looking very competitive. As you said, only a tenth between the two car 717 and 828. Looking very racy there. And again, mixing it with the silvers, it'd be interesting to see the race pace, because there's always, there's three types of driver. There's the qualifying driver, the hot lapper. There's the race driver who's consistent, and then there's aliens who we have no idea where they've come from, but we just know that they're lapping us by the end of lap 2.
Well, the latter minutes of qualifying here, as nearly everybody at one point or another has went off into the dirt at some point. It's just it's almost a rite of passage around Oulton Park, but they have 3 minutes and or 2 laps to get it all right. Fury April in 11th place in the 717, being outpacing, I should say, Reina in second place by just about 1/10 of a second. Fox in third place in the class, but a few positions behind in the 202. No improvement there. We're staying with Witcher here in the number 12 Bentley. What can they do for the turn one Diamonds? Can they get a little extra pace out of the car? Yes, indeed, they do. I don't know. Yes, indeed. 35.388, the lap they got out of there. Nicole Fox, previously mentioned third place in class. Looking for an improvement, looking for a little bit of a pickup as they come across the line, and in fact do slot themselves
Oh,
into second place, less than a tenth off of pole, and a couple of laps left. Fox has thrown it down. Fox is not going quietly into the night.
no, I told you I was excited for the AM battle. Now I'm really excited for the AM battle. This is close. Race day, or well, when it's time to race, I feel like these three are going to be bumper on bumper, lap after lap, and I'm looking forward to watching them go.
Well, this is going to be interesting. It's just like watching IMSA or World Endurance Championship on television, because oftentimes the GTLM or the GTD is just as interesting as what you see at the top, and we're seeing that here. That the AMs have come to play here today, and they're not content to play in their own sandbox. They want to take over the silver sandbox, and they're threatening the top 10 overall. And in my opinion, any one of the three top qualifiers here in AM can get that done with a few laps to go, as the 717 getting ready to finish up another lap of theirs. Where are they on the timesheet, Nate?
11th, not going quicker at the moment though. Had a few, they were up. I had a few scruffy corners, unfortunately, but it's to be expected when you're on the limit. You're always hunting for that tenth of a second later on the brakes, that tenth of a second earlier on the throttle. just trying to get the car dialed in on power as quick as you can. I'm not sure. Oh, they might just make it for one last hurrah, one last lap.
Oh, I
I
think they
believe
will.
April will be the last driver to cross the line
Oh,
for
that's
to
so
start a lap.
sneaky. That's so
But this
sneaky,
is where
Nate.
you want to be. This is where you want to be because now no one around you. Well, it's unlikely anyone will go faster, and if they do, you know what time you have to be. So if you can see that you're up, then you know you're going to go quicker than what they're going to go. So being that, what was it, 4 seconds to cross the line? That's prime position because now everyone who's finished a lap will go back to the pits. The track ahead of them is clear, so there's no one to get in the way. This is just them, the road, and the timer. So we'll have to watch this to see where they end up.
But by the way, Nate, our timing and scoring did lie to us. It said that April, excuse me, was a quarter of a second down. April was actually up on their time. They actually improved on that lap and pushed themselves into 10th overall and created about 2/10 of separation between them, Fox, and Rayner right now. So that actually was a quicker lap for the 717 after all, despite the fact that coming to the line, I looked away from the timing. I don't know if April gained all that time in the last corner or that was just complete. Yes, okay, I'm being told that that is indeed what happened. April gained over a quarter of a second in the final turn to solidify the pole for AM, and that ends the qualifying. And April goes ahead and stops that lap, realizing that nobody can get to them, and that was a spirited round, a 30-minute long session split into two 15-minute sessions, and an excellent qualifying for a lot of questions more than answers. Like, which Rose do you think is going to victory lane today? I hate to. I've already, Nate, we always pick a favorite. I'm going to pick the entire front row. I just think you can't beat it.
Well, I mean, if you can't pick one, pick them all, right? But I quietly have money on Philippa. I believe she was the SRO Asian Am champ uh, this year, was it?
Picking the champion, huh? Picking the champion. Okay.
Well, proven winner, proven racecraft. I mean, I feel like I can't go wrong.
All right, picking Boquito. Well, ladies and gentlemen, folks, boys and girls, everybody out there, we will be right back after a very brief intermission to bring you the race. We're going to run down the grid after that. Stick with us and don't go anywhere. We will be right back here on RCI TV. Please stream back up, Stu, when you get a moment.
Thing for me. Yep.
All right. Well, everybody, I told you we'd be right back, and here we are for the opening round of this brand new championship here on RCI. This is the Diamond Drive Cup Round 1 new Wednesday championship. For this championship, look what we've done here. This is non-male championship. I could not make it any simpler than I already have. This is a non-male championship as requested by the community, and I think that's just fantastic. And that nothing was more fantastic than that qualifying. But here we go. This is the grid for today's race. 3 classes on board for you all season long. And this is how they shook out today. Starting with the front row, it's Ida Rose and Mia Rose locking out the front row. That was almost a tongue twister. Second row, we're going to have Boquita and Schmidt. Then Dove and Erwin. Taylor and Goby. Horton and April, Strutchen, Fox, Rada and Lee, Vandenberg and Johnson, Kamugli and Witcher, Carlsvard and Martin, Austin and Del Sena, me, Edwards, Robertson, Anderson, O'Brien and Fair, Riot, Yeah, that is indeed right. I had to reread that again. And Ragster, Flog, and Sparks and McKeehan and Moore round out the field. 34 cars as we go all the way back. That is every single car. We're just walking down the grid here, looking at these beautiful machines. And 34 cars, Nate. We have to say it. 34 cars at Oulton Park. 34 cars. And what I'm laughing at, by the way, folks at home, is Stewie, our broadcaster who's working the cameras, is literally going down here and saying that, "Oh, I like that car. I like that car. Ooh, that car's awesome." That's what he's doing. So he cracks me up in my headset. But Nate, 34 cars, so much action on a tight racetrack, 1 hour of racing, one mandatory pit stop. Well, the word that comes to mind for me is traffic.
Traffic is definitely going to be an issue. Definitely from the top four, I want to say. Obviously, lapping the cars towards the back of the grid. We could see a few holds out. It could even cost a couple positions, depending on where they find the traffic. You know, you could have a comfortable second gap, and that could completely just be eroded if you catch a car at the wrong point in the track.
Very well, it could be. It's all about who works traffic. How often have we seen here at RCI those who work traffic the best are the ones that get to celebrate on the top step of the podium? Well, we know that there are two members of the Rose family in this race. They have locked out the front row of this race. I just gotta think that, I mean, you'd be excited for a 1-2, but if you were Mia Rose and you did finish second to your partner, you might not celebrate quite as hard. I don't know. I don't know what their home life is like. I do know what sort of the Ryan Meenans are very competitive, and I'm not comparing them to the Ryan Meenans. I'm just saying simply that I think maybe as far as race car drivers go, second's not as good as first. And would you bump? Okay, Nate, we're going to play the game. Would you bump your partner out of the way to win a race on the big stage?
Ooh, maybe not on the big stage, because I mean, too many people watching. But definitely behind closed doors, 100%, no questions. I would bump my partner. Get out of my way. I want bragging rights.
See, now I would, and I don't have any inclination that me is that way. But all I'm saying is that I'm a selfish human being, and I would absolutely do that for a gold trophy. But I digress. All anecdotal, of course, but this is your grid. This whole field stretches so far. I think whenever the leaders were going into the hairpin, there were still cars going into turn one. Is how big this field is. The Diamond Cup, absolutely a success on day one. Most important thing here is surviving the opening couple of laps. Before you can win, you must survive. The Oulton Park motto as they go 2 by 2, literally as far as my eye can see because it goes around a corner. They line up and prepare to do battle for the very first time in the Diamond Cup in 2021 here on RCI. Glad that you're all with us and hope that you enjoy today's race as the green flag goes down and everybody starts, and it's looking like side by side completely. Neither of the Roses backing down. The Jean Alesi Academy drivers doing their level best to make sure that they are properly positioned. No backing down, continuing going down through turn two. They're still side by side.
And it seems we got a yellow flag for turn one. Turn one instance, always going to happen. But it seems they've
Yes,
rejoined. They're good to go.
Seemed like just maybe one or two cars there, Nate, but meanwhile up front they're still side by side, and looks like the 56 Ida Rose is going to finally after 4 turns take the lead of the race over Mia Rose. And meanwhile behind them, no, excuse me, no, yes, that is indeed the case. My timing and scoring just updating there. So they file out, everybody single file. Very important, get a single file as quickly as possible. Picking a battle here could lose you seconds at a time. Most important thing right now, make pace around this racetrack. It's one of the few times that you almost want a Formula One like start where everybody goes single file and you get away, you start battling in your own group. By the way, that car right on the back of me, Rose, that's Schmidt. Schmidt has not backed down from the top two themselves. The top three, all Aston Martins.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised. It's a very, very nice car to drive. It's very compliant. You very rarely have issues with that. But as it's looking at the moment, the top three may be creating a bit of a bubble to the rest of the pack. There's definitely a gap between third and fourth place.
Yes, indeed. We're hearing that there was, to quote a few people here at RCI, there was an oof at the back of the field. And considering that, there were only a couple of cars that actually really spun, as far as I'm aware. We may get a replay at some point, but some of them, oh, we're actually going to get it right now. Excellent camera work by Stewie here. So we have a couple cars off. It was bigger than I thought. And even more
Oh,
spinning here, and some more bumper cars going on there towards the back of the field. And again, when it goes bad here, it goes bad in a hurry. As we have I believe this is a longer replay of the start. Some bumping and banging before the actual start of the race. Nearly three wide already in front. Three wide around this joint isn't going to work too well. But here's Riot, who was one of the pinballs in that accident. We're going to see here again. I mentioned that it was basically three wide. It was indeed confirmed three wide, and some misjudgment there going into one, Nate.
oh, it's unfortunate because you see a couple people like taking it slow, being cautious. It's the first lap, it's the first corner. You're never going to win the race, and then unfortunately, I wouldn't say a few people maybe getting a bit too excited, but definitely missing their brakes for the first corner. You can't drive it like a qualifying lap. There's cars ahead of you. It's that Constantina effect. The car in front of them brakes, so they have to brake early, which then means you have to brake even earlier. So it's an unfortunate accident, but it's lap one. These things happen, unfortunately.
When I said Formula One like start, I was not referencing Spa 1998, though those images that you were just showing sort of back that up. But that was not my intent. I can assure you. Nicole Fox here, trying to fend off the top 10 position. Fury April in the ninth place position just in front, but Sturch wants to get by Fox. Of course, they are allowed to race interclass. It does not matter what class you're in. If you have pace, they were told, race.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, it seems like April is hounding the back of Taylor, is it? Apologies, I've lost my timing. There it is, it's back. Yeah, April hounding the back of Taylor, so already sort of pushing up through the class. Yeah, and I believe we've actually had a change for the lead. I believe Enor's got past Mia.
Yes, that happened in, I believe, turn four, and unless they flip flop positions, I'm sorry, I'm stuck looking at Sarah Johnson's triple eight Bentley, not necessarily the car per se. They're racing for Pineapple.
Incredible, incredible. But looking back at car Triple Eight, you see they're gaining, they're falling back. It's all about where you plan your attack. Because if you decide to go for a move too late, it ends badly.
Well, Delcina here trying to do their best to go ahead and get away from the triple eight. Of course, this is an Amcar's wing of Delcina in the 76. Appears to be a Mercedes trying to gap the triple eight silver car. It isn't going on. Look at the lunge down into the corner that Johnson gets. Racing for Pineapple and also racing for some Swift Sharks all of a sudden, as that closed the gap down mightily. And now the splitter cam of Sarah Johnson's triple eight machine, as a car into the front there goes off, comes back on. No harm, no foul, but a scary moment when you're that close to another car and you cannot see. You can see the smoke or the dirt in this case, but you don't know where it's coming from.
No, and like you said, that's one of the scariest moments because you don't know if they're coming back on the track or if they've stopped just off the track. It's a bit unnerving. You never know where they're going to be. Are you going to spear into the side of them? And then the question is, if they have stopped off the track and then you get out of the power, the car behind you is just going to whiz past you. It's that way up. Ooh,
Oh! Oh my goodness, Nate, I'm
jeez,
sorry I grabbed you there. That scared me. Oh, Sarah
that was
Johnson nearly
close.
went into the back of Telsina there, and I thought that that was going to be another incident, well held, well kept, and well managed onto the brakes, but all of a sudden I have noticed why Johnson is so, he wants to get away because, Fury April, who was leading the AM class, has had an incident in the 717, is now back to 18. April proved to be the quickest of the AM drivers, but something has happened and has demoted them all the way to 18th place. They were in ninth overall. Oh, excellent. Yes, so Fury April was the car that we saw off the track. Here it is. Uh, that was the car that we saw off the track earlier when we were talking about it. So just went a bit wide there. Don't know if there was contact, but one way or another, contact made, and that explains why they're so far back. As Sarah Fair here, in the middle of a three wide sandwich, has to get out of there. Nearly contact. Close calls.
Very well driven. Oh, we got a replay here of this was the overtake I believe we just saw. Free wide on the back straight on this track. It's narrow. That could have easily have ended terribly,
Oh,
terribly.
smart move to just back out in turn one. I don't know how many times I've had to do that myself, where you just think you just got to back out. You know, it's like you want to contest the position, but you know if you do, you're likely going to cause an incident. You know, you obviously have the pace to be up there. Back out, try it again at a later date.
Yep, it's that way up of wanting to hold your position, but then car preservation. Because there's no point holding the position if you're both going to come together and give yourself, 20, 30 seconds stuck in the pit lane repairing the damage, because then you lose more time. It's easier to lose the 2 seconds that it takes you to roll off the throttle, let them go, and then carry on your race. You might catch them later on, you might not, but you only lose one position as opposed to, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10.
Well, we talked about the Roses that they participated in the GTWC America Championship last year. The car leading here, Eater won that championship, not to brag or anything, but leading Mia right now. And Jonna Lacey picked them up, two very quick drivers here. And they're pretty much doing exactly what you would expect them to do. They are gapping Schmidt a little bit there. You see the gap has opened, but Mia not backing down, staying just about half a second behind. Pretty good position so far. And there you see it in front right there, Nate. The lap traffic starting already.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I don't think we should have lap traffic this early. I think that was one of the cars that was caught in an incident. It's never a nice place to be. You're annoyed, you're frustrated because you've been caught in an incident, and then all of a sudden you get blue flags. And while they don't have to jump out of the way, it's not an F1 style rule here. It's still frustrating that you already know you're going a lap down, and the cars ahead of you are just getting further and further away.
Indeed, that is sort of the ebb and the flow of racing. And is there going to be a clean maneuver here? It looks like it. Very well held around the outside for Austin
Ooh.
there. Very nearly coming to blows, and a spin in the track. Very dangerous stuff.
Oh
Comes back
no!
across the track, smacks into another car, taking them out of contention. Was that a lead lap car? I think it might have been. Massive damage, all things told, and mayhem here in the second turn.
That's unfortunate. I don't think they were expecting the dive from Mia on the corner, and I think they got out of it smartly so, not to have contact. Then it pushed them wide onto the grass, and then after that they lost control, and then unfortunately the contact with the following car happened. It's unfortunate, but it's one of these things. Once you're sideways, you kind of have no control.
Well, when it rains, it pours, and everybody out there doing their level best, but some of the drivers here today having a hardware failure. Lillian Sparks apparently potentially having to retire due to a wheel failure, Nate. They always hate to see that.
Oh, that was a car sideways. Sorry about that.
No,
Yeah,
you're all right.
it's we were on board then. I just saw the McLaren sideways. I was like, is it going round? Is it not? But well held, well held. As we have a move. Is this for position? Is this a lapped car? I believe it's for position from Fox to Gobi. It is. It is from the AM class leader onto the back of the pro car, which is incredible actually. Like I'm surprised. And she's closing. They're closing. What? There it is. Up into ninth place for Fox.
Did
Or
you
eighth
did you
place.
just say? I'm sorry, Nate. Did you just say "whoop"? There it is. Did you just
No.
make a 1995 reference? Is that what happened there? Well, Alu Gobi, very special day for that
Ooh.
driver because it is their birthday. Of course, I'm not sure how old they are, but either way, happy birthday to Gobi there, and on more accounts than one.
I believe
Oh
the
dear.
best gift. And this is the replay for the car in the middle of the track.
Spoke Boquita here. Boquita who
Ooh, well
Boquita
avoided.
who oh my goodness. Well, you know, the dirt's there for a reason, am I right, folks? And sometimes you just got to go there. It's great for a picnic, not great for a racing car, but sometimes you are not given much option. But for Felipa Boquita, that is not what they wanted. Of course, a very, very prominent driver in their own right as well.
Would appear, they've sustained quite a bit of damage from that accident. So depends, are they going to stay out? Or are they going to stop? It looks like whoa!
Ooh.
Oh my
Oh
goodness!
dear.
So it seems like fair. Was it just out wide on just touched the grass and lost it a bit? It's just unfortunate the car behind was so close. Didn't really have time to avoid. No, on the curb.
Oh no, just broke traction, Nate.
That's
So
unfortunate.
so something with the setup of that particular Ferrari did not lend itself to taking that corner. It just somehow just lost it all on their own. Goes for a spin and makes contact. Meanwhile, remember these two?
How could we forget?
Yeah, I noticed the gap is well, it's actually sort of the same, but I feel like maybe Mia is pressing a little bit more now. Perhaps breaking up right behind the teammate. I could never do this too. I could never be a teammate with a significant other of mine. I just could not do it. We'd be at each other's throats constantly.
Well, I hope they're not in the same room because I feel like there may be some choice
Oh,
words
good
being
point.
being exchanged between them. Maybe
Oh,
we.
little argy bargy in the chicane, but that's okay. A touch, no foul, and position to the 21. And I'll say it again, happy birthday indeed for the Map 1 racing driver of Gobi.
Yeah, that was a great move. I mean, both drivers gave each other the space, but it looks like it's not quite over yet. It looks like Taylor's trying to come back at Gobi, not happy with the pass. So let's see if they can make it happen.
Well, it's just we watched the Felipa Boquita incident earlier, and they're involved in the SRO Asia Championship, and I'm not sure if they won or not, but I think they might have. So, like I said, a very prominent driver. It just goes to show you mistakes can come from anybody, anywhere, especially on a track like this. Mike Jones is a little sadistic when you think about it because he could have picked anywhere for race number one, and he picked Oulton Park.
Well, I mean, I'd rather get one of the harder tracks out of the way. Again, it gives everyone a chance to feel sort of where the competition is. Because I mean, if you can't leave room here, chances are they probably won't leave room anywhere else either.
Well, there you have it. And the racing does continue. We haven't talked about Catherine Taylor at all today, but here they are in the 13. I actually used to drive an Aston that looked quite a bit like that, actually. And very nice color choice, if I do say so myself. And the number 13 going well up into the 8th position, sort of trailing off of the back of Gobi now. Sarah Fair now. Let's see what they're dealing with. They're dealing with Witcher right behind. Or are they? Is that
Nope,
no? That
no,
is
Witcher's in the
not
Bentley.
Witcher right behind. Indeed. Oh, that's Gobi going for pass on the lap car. So Sarah
Oh,
Fair.
contact!
Oh, and it's going to come to blows, and Gobi is going to go into the wall, and it's going to take whomever they were racing with them hard into the barrier.
I believe
Two
it was
more
Taylor.
damaged GT3s. I think you might be right. Take us through the
The
replay.
And this is what I was talking about. If you catch traffic just at the wrong moment, so as you see, got caught on the corner, had to get out of it,
Ooh.
and then Taylor with the speed advantage because they didn't need to lift through the corner, just came up. It's like I said, you catch traffic at the wrong point, it can really, really like have implications on your race. And unfortunately, it caused these two to have an accident.
I'm actually being told that Mike Jones isn't the one that picked the calendar for this championship, but folks, I'll be investigating who did and who started this series out on Oulton Park, because all this is going to do, Nate, is angry everybody up for round two. Racing drivers never forget, of course. And well, they'll be back on a track with each other next week. So, uh, oh
Oh,
no,
more contact.
Sarah Johnson rumbling, bumbling, and stumbling through.
Oh, they let them pass though. So good sportsmanship there. The accidental contact, but wise enough to recognize that it was their fault and let the position back through. So fair racing. Unfortunate for the contact, but smart to let them back through.
I gotta say, I feel like the second and third hit was simply trying to save the other car. I know it looked like they were trying to ram their way through, but I'm almost certain that that was like, oops, I don't want to send you spinning, and I'm going to try and set you back the right way. I've seen that go both ways, both positive and negative, as Sarah Johnson really needs to delete that from their memory bank, as they are in a fight with, well, a very, very rare Nissan.
Is that the only one we have in this grid
I
actually?
think it might be.
So
Well,
Kamugli definitely taking the alternate approach, deciding to step away from the crowd and do their own thing.
well, for Kamugli, they have a reputation to uphold. We love the Nissan GTR here at RCI, and I would say they're doing that just fine here in the top half of the field for a car that isn't necessarily BOP'd very well, or at all, in fact. Oh, lunge down to the inside is Sarah. Sarah trying to get that spot 14th away. It's neck and neck. Remember what happened the last time a couple of drivers came down through here? Sarah's going to have
Triple
to
A
pull out
wisely.
and just, yes, indeed. And oh, actually, he's going to be overtaken themselves by Martin. I
Oh,
think that's Martin.
okay.
That is indeed.
Everyone's still pointing forward. That's always a positive. But as you can see, the Triple Eight gets out of it to avoid the contact, and the
Ooh.
100 is like, nope, I'll take that. But unfortunately,
Oh, that's two laps in a row. Johnson has made contact in that turn.
oh, that was a
Oh, and they're all going to miss the. Oh, well, there goes the tire barrel. And
not
that's,
the tires.
isn't that into the pond? I think that's went in the pond.
Ah,
Oh no! And
ah,
another
no.
contact in spins here. Was that potentially some sort of payback? I do not know. And I hate to speculate. That's a complete lie. I love to speculate. That might have been a little bit of payback.
It's just unfortunate that Triple Eight probably fired up from two incidents in the corners, just wanting to try and crack on with their race, get on with it, get past the other cars, and then unfortunately you have bit too late on the brakes because you drive angry and you always think you can, because you're angry, you have superpowers, you can stop earlier. And unfortunately, the cars don't agree with you, and the car says, "Nope, I'm not. You're way too late there." And unfortunately, straight off the track, and then obviously on the grass, no grip. The sideways or the loose rejoin, I should say, it wasn't quite sideways, but the loose rejoin, and then unfortunately contact into the other car.
Well, I will say the Triple Eight is going to have some dissatisfied drivers near their race pit after this thing's all over. I would hazard that guess, simply because of the sheer amount of contacts there. I wouldn't want to be any of their crew after this one.
It's fine. Just stick a little bit of duct tape on it, send it to the next one. It'll be good to go.
Yes, indeed. Well, the race does continue, and for April Karsvard, it has not been a disaster yet, and they have maintained in that Lexus. I think they're the high. Yeah, they absolutely are the highest running Lexus. One of the few Lexi. I do that every race, but either way, they're one of the very few, if not the only, but they are looking for that seventh place. Well, that's important because that, of course, is for second in class. Well, whereas first in the AM class, you may ask, well, they're on the third step of the podium. Fox is all the way up in third. Now, how did they get there?
Well, it would seem they just kept themselves out of trouble. It seems everyone around them was getting into incidents, bumping, grinding, everything else. And they've obviously avoided everything and, played it smart, played it safe. And, it's just come to them. I'm not going to say they've lucked into position because it's obviously been some very careful and calculated driving, but it's fallen into their lap.
Well, the 818 has been disqualified due to lag. That is a normal RCI procedure, and they have been disqualified from this race due to posing a hazard on the track. Several cars have come into pit as we see Reina here trying to defend Carlsvard, but can't quite do it. Carlsvard's going to get that spot position for them, the number 69 Lexus. Count them up to seventh, but almost with bated breath. I hear my producer in my ear withdrawing into his own chair with it's just thrill spills and chills. But as I was saying, uh, the 818 disqualified due to lag, though Dove, Horton, Taylor, Martin, Edwards, Lee, Riot, Witcher, and Austin have all come into pit road, and a lot of them are in pit road right now. Mia Rose again in pit road as it is right around feeding time in the pits. Not a bad time and not a bad strategy if your race is potentially not going as well or is going way more better than you expected it to. Go ahead and get your pit stop out of the way. Ina Rose, though, the leading 56 Jean Alesi Esports Academy Aston. Well, they're not coming into pit road, but they may this time by. We'll have to find out. But pit stop strategy, Nate, where do you sit on that fence?
It's a difficult one because if you feel like you've got the pace, which inevitably we always do, if you don't look at the lap times, you feel like you can stay out forever. But ultimately, obviously, as the tires degrade, you do lose lap time. So it's always judging when is the crossover period. Like when is the point where you're losing too much lap time that if a car behind you stops, they'll pass you. But also, when is the point that if you stop too early, are you going to run out of tires for the end of the race?
I was just informed too that Mia Rose has had an incident, a major incident, is how it was phrased to me, and of course lost a bunch of time. So it is not a Rose 1-2, and that all that does is promote Fox up to second place now. Of course, in the cycle of pit stops.
Yep, but I believe even still, they're still second overall.
You
So
think?
they were third, as I believe we see a replay of Mia Rose's incident here. Let's see what happened.
Oh, so Mia Rose has had a second incident. This is the second incident. Oh, so they just pulled off the. Okay. Can we safely assume that was hardware related?
I would like to say yes, but without hearing anything differently, we can only speculate. But again, back to Fox's position overall, I believe because they were third overall before Mia had her incident, and now they're up to second, and the cars ahead and behind them all still need to stop. So I believe that they are second overall as we
Ooh,
see a BMW backwards.
yeah, that's unfortunate because it's in a blind corner. But at least they were sitting in a place in the track where it was easy to get around them. Now for uh, for McKeon, it's going to be difficult because obviously they have to go back across the racetrack and they have to flip around. But they can't see the traffic coming at them either. So it's a very dangerous situation. There's not. It's a lose lose really.
Yeah, it's always frightening because you're eager, you want to rejoin the race, you want to get back to it, but at the same time, you don't want to be coming across the track as three or four cars are racing up behind you for position. So it's always the painful one because you have to sit and wait. and then you just watch the cars go past and the positions drop, and then you just get more and more frustrated and sad.
Alice Horton for Speed Kitty Motorsports. These are the best names for teams I have ever heard. I think we should replace all the names as there's going to
Oh
be
no!
contact. And I feel like the commentator's curse is alive and well. Alice Horton comes to blows with another car and spins out, contacts the wall, gets going, but that would be significant damage for the 25.
I believe that was lap traffic. Again, lap traffic could decide where the positions fall at the end of this race.
I gotta say, I must stop talking about teams and complimenting how much I enjoy their paint schemes, their names, their driving, because every time I do, it seems like they crash. So I'm going to be quiet for a while. I think I'm just going to generally commentate instead of pick anybody out in particular. But for Fury April, back down into 12th place now, following the pit stop. A couple of cars still to pit. Actually, excuse me, Fury April was climbing through the field. They had an incident earlier, and they are continuing to climb through the field. Confused them with Fox, who is currently still in second place. Eon Rose has pitted out of the first position, didn't even lose the first place position. That lets you know how far they are out in front as April makes contact with, I think, was that Vandenberg? It probably
It was. It
was.
was. Yep.
Seen some scrappy driving out there by some of the competitors today. A lot of bump and runs, a lot of bumping into the corners, and we're going to see that again. Just outbroke themselves there, Nate. Unfortunately.
That's what it looks like. The problem as well when you're following another car, you get locked onto them, and then you lose your braking point, and then you react to their taillights. Oh, and again we see another late break.
So third place, going for one for Team Fordzilla. Schmidt, nobody is safe here out on this track right now. Anybody can be involved in an incident, including your podium contenders. Though, if I were if I were in a podium spot, knowing that a lot of these cars have it's creeping up to about half the field have had issues, I'd probably back it down and start being a little bit more safer in fear of becoming a statistic at that point.
Yeah, but the quick race creature inside of you will always want to go faster. You know, it's the logic dictates. Okay, people around me having these incidents. We'll slow it down. We'll finish the race. That's all we need to do. But then passion goes. I want to go really fast, and you keep your foot welded in.
Luke Goby here, back in the 23rd position, has found Anderson. A race for overall position, but not in class. Goby attempting to go around what is effectively the outside, gets it done cleanly. What a clean overtake that is. And what are we going to see here by Catherine Taylor? Is this an overtake or an incident? It appears to be a lap car they're trying to get around.
I
Oh, that
believe that
was
was for
not a lap
position.
car.
Yeah, car
It was.
25.
I falsely assumed because it was that damaged that must have been a car that had some sort of troubles. That was not the case. And for Seaside 765 Racing, that is a position for Taylor up into the 14th place now.
Still a few cars that need to make their stop. So a couple of cars you could say are out of position, but it's looking like most of the front runners actually, not all of them. I can't say that because there is still two of the front running cars that need to stop. But it's looking like from probably 10th up that we can assume safely that those positions or those changes for position will be relative, with no surprises for late pit stops.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. Some of these, again, everybody has to take a mandatory pit stop here, but we don't. There's no pit window. They can take it at any point in the race, and you may wonder, well, what's the difference? Why does it matter? Well, it matters a lot. It's all about strategy, and if you come in at the back of a pack of cars, get clear of that pack of cars and run quicker, and you clear your stop, that's more advantageous than being embroiled in a battle and coming in after you've won that battle. It's all about strategy. And of course, if you are the lead car, typically we see the leaders stay out for an exceedingly long amount of time. That was not the case today. Ina Rose has come in bang on par with everybody else and has cleared their stop and has done a darn good job of staying out of trouble, which again cannot understate how much. I mean, you've seen it, how much trouble a lot of these drivers have gotten into. Schmidt has pitted and is back into the second place spot. Fox is also pitted as pictured here for next round racing, and they are in the fifth position. Though when Reina pits out of third, that might promote them as high as fourth. But considering they're right on the bumper of Dove for fourth, we may have an AM on the podium, Nate. See what I did there?
Ha, I did indeed. But I'm curious because, like I said, when before Fox pitted, I said to you that they were net second. Turns out I was completely
You,
wrong. So now I'm
well,
interested to see where they will finish.
yes, indeed. I think it's worth mentioning. I think it's never more important to mention on a day like today, in a race like today's race. International Women's Day is coming up on the 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are correct. Yep.
And of course, done in the spirit of all things feminine. And I definitely, I think we can speak for everybody here at RCI that that is definitely something to celebrate. And I think one of the biggest things that, as far as the internet and esports can do to celebrate, is to have a series such as this that displays top talent. And again, it's one thing just to do it, it's quite another to have it asked for and to see such a, I mean, no offense, it's a ridiculous turnout for an event. And there are splits that we do that do not get anywhere near this viewership or participation. And I think that goes to show just how strong the community is. And I don't know who timed the series to start this week, but very clever, whoever that chap was.
Yeah, like you said, there's been a huge turnout. I mean, I've been to a few organized races. As we come to a replay here, what's happening here?
All right. Yes, Dove did overtake Fox, which was really hard for my brain to say. Dove overtake Fox. Help me, Nate.
I guess you could say Dove dive down the inside.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
It's close, isn't it? It's really close. I mean, uh, without you know saying too much, I feel like maybe Fox has greatly underestimated themselves as we see Dove dive off the track,
What
and
was that? Do you want to say that a bit faster?
what Dove dive off the track?
All
No
right, you
more.
show off.
No more. I'm gonna mess it up soon. But yeah, Fox, without a shadow of a doubt, definitely has underestimated themselves. I mean, P3, for to come in and consider yourself an AM, I definitely would say there's an underestimate there.
And of course, there was sort of uh, sort of qualifying that put you in the class that you're in. And I think for Fox, if they are able to for the next 24 minutes stay in this position, I think they, I mean, it is a win. To be fair, it is a win. They're split up into categories. So if you win an AM, you have won your race, and that's all you are supposed to do. But Honestly, it's almost like a double win, a podium out of nowhere. Folks, they started outside the top 10, did Fox, and they are on the overall podium outright. Everybody around them has made their pit stops. That is where they belong, and my hat's off to them. What an excellent race that they've had. And also the 56 of Rose. And Schmidt, of course, has had issues just a little bit ago, but they've also maintained a podium spot. But
Uh,
it's going to be an incident here for Vandenberg. Vandenberg and Taylor, I believe, are going to come together in the final turn. What happens here? Does the 13 outbreak themselves, Nate?
it looks that way. It might have been that what car was that? The Bentley was just maybe on the brakes too early for them because obviously they're in the groove now. You know, they've been lapping for what, almost 40 minutes now. Everyone sort of got their points where they like to brake, where they turn in, where they pick up the throttle. And you know, if you're behind a car that has a different line to you and they brake earlier than you do, it can catch you out. And I think there might have been a case there of, you know, they have different lines into the corner and it just caught the number 13 out a little bit.
Well, I think if you've had a really great day, there's something to be very prideful about with that. But also, if you've had a very bad round, a bad day here at the track in the opening round, it isn't the end of the world, Nate. There is a dropped round in this championship. Your worst finish will be omitted from the final standings. And that will be some solace for the teams that have had either mechanical issues or unfortunate on track events today. But it is a shame to use your one mulligan that you get all season so early.
Yeah, like you said, it is a shame. And like you said, there is, you know, some solace in the fact that, you know, this round won't count for them essentially because, you know, it will be their drop round there. But it's also on the flip side hugely frustrating because, you know, especially in the case of Mia Rose, was up there in P2. This would have been a fantastic result for them. And then perhaps, I don't know, round four, they have an incident, you know, where it doesn't take them out of the race, but they finish maybe outside of the points. And it's sort of that kind of wish of, oh, I wish this could be my drop round, but instead I have to take this result. So it's that double-edged blade, really. You know, on the one hand, it's great because this counts for nothing for some people. On the other hand, not so great because now you've used it, you don't have that safety net of, you know, if I do not so great in the next few events, they're still going to count.
Very much so indeed, as Horton continues to chase Witcher here as close as they've been for some time. No dive move into the final turn. 25 being as patient as possible, considering they had their earlier issues. Sarah Dove in the 177 attempting to repass Fox for the third position, the final podium spot. Very close together. Of course, Fox did pass Dove earlier. There, I said at that time. But now Dove is now attempting to get that third step back and reclaim the podium in the name of the pro drivers. Of course, Sarah Dove for Les Race doing fantastic here, trying to keep the pressure on, but not making any moves yet. I think, and again, I don't know, but I'm assuming that Dove here is just sort of waiting for Fox to make a mistake, fill up the mirrors, get in all the mirrors, make them nervous, make them lose concentration, and whenever they drive a little wide in one of the apexes, just take the position. I think is what Dove is attempting to do here.
Yep, and it's a proven strategy. It works. I've had it done to me. I've done it to other drivers. More so happens to me. I'm normally the one being passed. But again, like you said, it seems like they're just waiting for the mistake to come. They're not doing anything risky. They don't want to have contact which could put them both out of the race. But again, on the flip side, if Fox doesn't make a mistake, then like you said earlier, it's a huge achievement for them to, you know, be battling this high up and, you know, staying competitive. You know, that's there's these two have been battling for the last how many laps I don't know, and none of them seem to have cracked yet. So
Oh, there it
it's,
is. There's a
oh,
mistake.
it's the
There's a
commentator's
mistake.
curse. It's the
Oh, it
commentator's curse.
absolutely
I'm so
is.
sorry, Fox.
Nick,
I am
Nick,
so sorry.
oh, Nicole Fox tries to take the most extreme inside line into one, goes over the curb and unsettles the Audi and goes off. No contact made. Nicole Fox down to fourth place. Meanwhile, Sarah Dove repositioned back into third, but can the 202 claw back the time in the 18 and a half minutes left and maybe give Dove something to think about for a second time?
We'd love to see it. We hope to see it, but now it's just that point of was that
Oh,
contact then at the start and
oh,
contact at the
well,
end?
well. I mean, it was definitely contact there at the end. Witcher there. Yes, that's a lot of contacts there in the hairpin today. I don't know if it's just outbreaking or misjudging, but one way or another, there have been quite a number of contacts. And nearly here, the 13 looking to the inside. That's Taylor trying to get around Vandenberg as they're nearly side by side, not quite, and they will have to shuffle back single file. You saw Stewie in the in-race chat say, "Somebody please cut those trees." I understand that a big hindrance to him. It's nature, Stewie. Nature is beautiful.
But
It
we're
does block
hoping
the track a bit, though.
it does. It does. But again, it also makes the track. I feel like there would be, it'd be quite dull. It wouldn't be as interesting. Which sounds weird to say trees are interesting, but you get what I mean. You see some racetracks that are just
Bob
flat land.
Ross,
Yeah.
Bob Ross would 100% agree with that statement. Trees are interesting. He painted them for 35 years. Taylor still on Vandenberg here, trying to get this pass done. A bit aggressive, but not overly aggressive thus far. Do we see a dive bomb move down here? Don't think we will. Not close enough is Catherine Taylor in the Seaside number 13.
I believe the number 13 will think twice before going into this corner because I believe these two cars made contact a few laps ago.
Stewie telling us that he believes the brake marker being gone is why people are struggling in that corner. Very well could be. I think that's the number one thing I complain about is when people hit the braking marker. As Taylor and Vandenberg get around some of the lap traffic. I do hate that, Nate, whenever they hit the braking markers in the corners. It does throw you off because you either know you're braking at a meter board or you're thinking about braking in between a meter board, and that's sort of your visual cue that doesn't change right up until the point where it's not there anymore.
Yeah, it's hugely frustrating, but it's also kind of funny when you do it to a friend. You go out, take them out, and then sit in the pit lane, and then you hear them go out for their lap and go, "Where's the brake boards?" It's always a good giggle, especially when you're practicing for endurance events. But when it happens to me, not impressed because I do not have any frame of reference to where I'm stopping, and 9 times out of 10, I don't know if you do the same. I end up braking far too early for the corner and then I
Yeah.
lose much more time.
Well, remember Sarah Dove from earlier? Let's see what happens. Oh, it's going to be a touch and a spin for the third place running car into
Ah,
the outside wall. That was a back marker that caused that incident. Well, either way, Fox is back into the third position. Dove all the way back to fifth place now. That promotes Strutch to the fourth position in the number 5. So nobody, like I said earlier, nobody is safe. And the only safe place here is in the pits, honestly.
yeah, like I said, back markers will determine the final positions of this race because it seems like everyone is having trouble. It doesn't even need to be, you trying to pass them. They might be that a back marker just has an instant ahead of you, and then you unfortunately get collected in them spearing across the track. So yeah, no one, like you said, no one is safe, and this race is a long, long way from over. We could see many, many positions gained or lost.
Well, like like we Stewie is telling us that basically all the brake markers in the chicane are gone as well. And to further Nate's point, I am a big stickler for those sort of things. Stop hitting the back markers. The only time in iRacing that I was ever really told to shut up by somebody that wasn't part of my own team was complaining about the braking markers being gone at what was that, Spa, I think perhaps it was. I always enjoy a track where the braking markers are on a fence that is very close to the racetrack. Therefore, if you've hit them, then you've had a really bad day. But nobody suffering such terrible luck today, as Ener Rose is continuing to pound around the racetrack, some 16 seconds in front of Schmidt. 13 and a half minutes left to, let's be completely honest here, survive for the Jean Alesi Esports Academy driver. Still will have to work traffic, will still have to keep up their pace because the 74 Schmidt is not going to back down. Most of the sort of, we call them professionals, I call them alien sim racing drivers, tend to agree that Oulton Park is really kind to the Aston. So it was no surprise that we see so many of them inside the top five. But that all being said, that takes nothing away from the 202. In fact, it speaks more for the 202 of Fox and Strutch and Dove, especially Dove in a Lamborghini, who I know Ryan Gill is a huge fan of. You would have to pay me a lot to be brave enough to take a Lamborghini around this track. Oh,
Oh,
that's the Lexus
someone's
that's in the race. That thing has steering damage. That's very obvious. Nearly comes to contact, but does not. So the Lexus is having all sorts of issues here all of a sudden, and that damage is going to require a pit to fix the steering.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way they can continue like that, and also almost collected this great battle we've got going on here between Reina and April. That would have been a shame to see that ruined by someone having their own sort of difficulties in their own separate race.
I love a good battle late in a race, and I think we're about to get treated to just that. Fury April, who had started out with such promise in this race, had an immediate setback in the 717, and now has clawed their way all the way back up into seventh, potentially sixth. I talked about drivers finishing on the podium, that it would just be as good, uh, you know, as a win to them. I think April's in that same boat. If April can maybe get sixth place here, which I think they can, I just feel like it would almost be a win. But like, hey, I was down in like 18th or 20th after the green flag, after that incident, and I still finished near, if in the top 10, near the top five. That's a lot of points. I mean, it is would be second in points for them, but still, also the pride factor as well. So oh, yep. McKeehan also having issues again here. We've seen the 292 for, I'm not going to say that because we'll get demonetized, but you can see their team name.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to get demonetized. Very sneaky, McKeehan. Very sneaky. But the 292 has had its share of issues today. Down in 30th place, continuing to pound around. What happened to Arrowin here? Oh, I see. They're involved with McKeehan. Going, that was a different incident, but even still, it's hard to keep track, Nate. I've just determined.
Yeah, definitely. There seems to be every corner you look at action, but
Yeah.
it seems like there was just a bit of miscommunication there. It seems like McKeehan was being lapped by the other driver, and they wanted to go left. McKeon also wanted to, sorry, they wanted to go right. McKeon also wanted to go right, and unfortunately, they you can't just ghost through them. We're not on the formation lap.
Well, you can go ahead and safely cue the Jaws music for Reina here in the 828 Honda, because the 717 is officially there now.
I think this is going to go down to the final. Actually, no, I'm not saying that.
What
I'm
was that,
not
Nate?
saying that.
Would you like to make a bold prediction that will end up in angry drivers outside your door?
Yeah, so I'm going to predict that everything will be fine. Absolutely.
No,
No,
don't
wait,
do
that's
that either.
worse.
Don't do
That's
that either.
worse.
Don't do that either.
No, I
Nate,
feel
as
like
I've determined, it's best not to say anything at all.
let's just be quiet and hope it
We're
unfolds.
Here's
Very
what we're gonna do. Flashing of the lights from April. letting Reina know that, hey, I'm faster than you. I would like to get through here. Right on the back of the Honda is the Mercedes, the 828 and the 717, and that's going to cause Reina to go off. Reina goes off completely on their own accord. I'm not sure. I don't think there was a bump. Feeling every mirror was April right there. Just misjudged it. Maybe mirror driving. That's why you get in the mirrors. That's why you flash the lights. Position gained for April there. Excellent driving and good tactics, though, although I'm sure Reina does not appreciate it.
No, it's actually surprisingly effective when you see the flash because you glance up and be like, "What are you doing?" And it just takes that split second to look away from the road to miss your braking point, miss your turning point, and then as we saw, you're off into the gravel.
Well, 8 minutes to go. You may have noticed it has gone rather cloudy. And I thought it was getting later in the evening, but I mean, it sort of is. It's 3 p.m. in sim time here at Oulton Park. And what happens to Sarah Dove here again? Car spinning in front, tries to take avoiding action, hits the dirt, hits the car, and a day that was filled so full of promise. I'm told that was Gobi that was hit, but for Dove, a day that was filled so full of promise, that was looking so good just a few laps ago, completely come undone now.
It's a shame. I've Those ones are almost more frustrating because you feel like you're doing really well, and they were up to, was it P2 at one stage or was it P3?
I,
I think
I
they hit.
they were one or the other, yeah.
Yeah, they were, podium position either way, P2,
Mm.
P3. It's fantastic. And then, the off, it's sort of like, okay, I can get back from this. And then it just seems to compound the issue because you tend to have accident after accident. And it's like, why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? And it's just the case of being wrong place, wrong time, and it's just you sort of, finish the event and it's that case of, well, what could have been? And you'll always wonder.
Indeed. Well, there have been a handful of retirements from the race, and of course, Delcina, Mia Rose, and Lillian Sparks have officially retired. Actually, no, I take that back. I think
Yeah,
Lillian
Lillian's back
Sparks is
on the
still on the
track.
track. Yeah, and that's correct. So we only had the two retirements. We heard that Lillian Sparks had a mechanical issue with her wheel, but apparently they've been able to fix that or found a way to finish the race. There's only two cars out. That is Mia Rose and Anna Del Cena that are out of the race. I mean, there actually I take that back. There have been other retirements. They're just not showing up on my board. But those are the two that are sitting in the pit lane. We started with 35 cars. There are 32 in the race still, and there are only about 30 still circulating. Not too bad for this track, to be fair. I expected the attrition rate to be a little bit higher. It kind of helps that a lot of the incidents have been not terribly, terribly impactful. Oh, there is a second Lexus in this race. It is the April Carswald car, number 69. Is that team name Realish Racing?
I mean, I suppose it does make sense. Simulation's kind of realistic. I mean, the physics in this game are kind of realistic. Well, I say kind of, definitely fairly realistic without getting in a real race car. I think the name fits. I think it fits. But yeah, I believe there is a second Lexus. We have a pack of Lexi on the track somewhere.
Oh, here we go. I've been asking the RCI community for the better part of a year about that. Is it Lexus, Lexi? I don't know. It's not in my lexicon. How about that? Oh goodness, I just want to apologize for that one. That one was bad. Less than 5 minutes to go, and I'm losing my mind. And for Ina Rose, it has been just a magnificent day, and I think the Jean Alesi Esports Academy team are going to be loving this. Just a few more laps to hold on for victory here. Of course, you have to get through the traffic, you have to mind your own gap. But for them, it has just been about a perfect day. Qualified on pole, fought Mia Rose, and then took the lead outright, created a gap, and has just flat been better than all the other competitors. I think it's fair to say, Nate.
Absolutely, like you said, faultless race. They've always had their car in the perfect place. As we go to a replay, what happens here? A case of there's a car on the apex and I want to be there.
Ooh, that's dangerous. Smart decision there to pull to the inside. I've been corrected. There were only 33 cars in this race. I had that confirmed by the broadcaster and one of the race organizers. There were 33 entered. So we've not lost 5 cars. We've only lost the one. So everybody else is still on track or sort of track adjacent.
Yeah, we're doing well. I mean, it's great to see that Lillian actually got back out. You know, because it's quite easy to go, well, you know, I'm 5, 6, 7 laps down. There's no point me joining in. But you know, in true racing spirit, it's good sportsmanship. They're back out on the track, lapping and taking part, and that's what it's all about. Is just taking part, having fun. You know, being here, getting experience, and you know, making. I'm sure some of these people will come away from this making new friends.
Well, I can tell you a couple of these drivers today made a few more enemies than they made friends. So we'll have to see if that's at all possible. I don't think anybody is going to be unsatisfied with the winner today. As far as I'm concerned, I think they ran a pretty spotless race. But some of the other competitors, they're gonna have some questions that they're gonna be needing to answer. Catherine Taylor as the 95 Nissan right up against them, looking to get the 9th place position away. 13, of course, has had their own incidents, and they've been in their fair share of dodges of incidents as well. Climbed back inside the top 10. Kamugli there, trying to hold on, trying to make that GTR as wide as it seems. I think we have a replay of Martin and Fair here. Oh, that's Charlie Martin, who wasn't expecting Fair to be as slow as they were. Comes to contact. The 18 goes spinning. This is Charlie Martin, by the way, in the 100 Bentley. Charlie Martin's a real racing car driver, and they are here with us for, I think, for this entire championship as well. So love to have them with us. If you don't know who Charlie Martin is, I mean, come on. Charlie Martin, 24 Hours of Nürburgring, etc., and so forth. I don't. Oh, I think there was a little incident here, and yes, indeed,
no.
The leader, Ina Rose, has been involved with a back marker getting into the back of them. I don't think that'll be enough to lose them the lead. There was a bike chicane there, Nate, and I think that might have saved the leader.
Yeah, definitely. If there'd been a wall hit, like if the corner we're coming up to here, it would have ended quite badly. Back marker seems like they're getting out of the way. Very nice and considerate. It's always helpful. But what is happening here? Is this for position?
I believe it is. Yes, so the Bentley there, or the McLaren, excuse me, they're getting overtaken. I'm not sure if that was for position. Right, okay, the McLaren overtaking the Ferrari. It gets a bit confusing around here, Nate, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, it's like I said, action everywhere. And I have to say, I'm dropping your curse now. Here we go. The livery on that car, fantastic. Team name, amazing.
Cupcake Racing. All right, that's it. I'm renaming my racing team because this is. I've been given too many ideas here. Here's Charlie Martin. We talked about Charlie Martin earlier. Car goes off in front. There's also a car off in the chicane. Sarah O'Brien very nearly making contact. Billy No Maid's team. I love that. And there's a car crashing on the inside of that turn as well. Thank goodness for Armco and a fence. Are we going to another replay? Here's Charlotte Roberts. What happens here? That creating rally Rallycross coursing it here, trying to get the car going the right way, spins it out again on the inside. Probably the smarter decision there. Oh, gets back up on the banking, but also again the low, the way that the splitters and stuff work on these cars, you could wedge yourself on the track there, and all you're doing is spinning your tires. But Charlotte Robertson getting it going the right way after a little bit of rallycross. Does Lexus make a rallycross car?
If they shouldn't, they do now.
Well, Inner Rose has absolutely dominated this race in the 56 Jana Lacey Esports Academy car, and they are going to come home a winner here today, and in fact already had a well-deserved win in a tiny little bit of drama in the final 2 minutes with a lap car was not enough to lose them this race. They win over Schmidt in the 74 Aston Martin to a tune of 17 seconds, and the standout, of course, for us on the podium is not only these two, but also Fox in the 202 Audi, coming all the way from 18th place in AM after an early incident to finish on the podium in third. And here are your finishers as they crossed the line. Strutch in fourth. Erwin, it rounds out your top five. April, Reina, Dove, Kamugli, and Taylor, your top 10. Carlsvard, give me 1 second there. Carlsvard, Vandenberg, Martin, O'Brien, me, Horton, Lee, Edwards, Witcher, and Boquita is your top 20. And here are your finishers further back in the field. Riot, Anderson, Moore, Fair, Austin, Robertson, Johnson, Plogue, McKeehan, Sparks, and Cena, or Del Cena, excuse me, are the ones that remained in the session. So for those in the outside the top 20, be looking for a pick me up in race two. Anybody who finished, of course, inside the top 10, I think they, first of all, Nate, they survived, which is the most important thing. And I don't think they'll use their mulligan on this race, which is also a plus. They've still got one in the bag.
It's true. And you say they survived. I mean, Dove P8 definitely had a fair share of incidents. Taylor, the number 13 Aston, fair share of incidents. So I think I wouldn't say they survived. They just survived better than the people around them.
Well, this has been a pretty crazy race, all things considered. But for a lot of these teams, it has been incredibly successful, and a lot of these silver and AM drivers showed what they can do in this sort of format. And I think a lot of everybody here, you're going to see some tempers in the chat after this. You're also going to see some sighs of relief. Well, ladies and gentlemen, folks around the world, if you did like what you saw here today, if you enjoy good, hard, close GT racing, why not subscribe to the RCI TV channel and leave a like and a subscribe? Thank you to all of our partners that make all the races possible. Race Department, AK Informatica, Speed Labs, and Sim Racing GP for everything that they do that keeps us on the air. And, well, I'm excited for the rest of the season. I want to see what everyone here brings to the table next week now. So, Nate, what do you say? We'll make a date out of it. How about we show up next Wednesday for Diamond Drive Cup Round 2?
Sounds like the perfect date to me. I will see you there.
Excellent. Well, for the rest of you, Friday, the Friday Championship, and of course, also the Friday World Championship, and of course, also on Saturday, Night Owl coming up your way. Can't wait to see you there. And if you don't like me, I'm afraid I'm sorry. You're stuck with me for the rest of the week because I will be there for those two rounds. On behalf of everybody here on the broadcast team, I'm Jesse Lee. I'm here with Nate and, of course, Stewie behind the cameras and everybody here at RCI. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.